And it is the Nerdquest Podcast coming at you live, kind of, not really. But seriously, we're
live pre-recorded.
Yes, live and pre-recorded in Josh's basement in front of a not-so-live studio audience.
They're not live.
No, they're all dead.
No, they're undead.
Okay, unless you're on this podcast, you don't talk.
Okay, we have two people running security, and that's James, say hi.
Hi.
And Kellen. No, I didn't say you say hi.
We didn't say you could talk.
Kellen, no one loves you.
I never said it.
Okay, seriously. No, we're talking.
We're having trouble focusing.
Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, so it is I, as always, Jacob.
Josh, a.k.a. Zorgulon Destroyer of Worlds.
And we have a new guest today. Someone who's been kind of, like, literally threatening us to get on the podcast. And so we actually started getting scared by her latest threats.
She's appeared a couple times before. And
yes.
We think that, she's been sending us, like, mail and threats, mostly. And, the one time, I got a package from you, and it
Don't
was...
make up lies that said Homeland Security is
it was
come
ticking.
I woke up with a hippogriff's head in my bed. It was weird. Real Godfather status.
So we decided to let her on the
If I lived in
podcast.
the world of Harry
But-
Potter, I would totally do that.
With no further introduction, we have Erin.
Hello, guys.
That's Erin for you.
You may
Please.
recognize her from when she ran security.
Please don't call him.
I don't remember which podcast that was.
It was...
I think it was actually a Pottercast.
Yeah, well, I think it was. And I know she appeared a couple times on the shipping podcast.
Yes, she did. She did.
And there was
Shipping
the other
is a
one.
relationship?
That,
Yes.
The video game, the EEE. There we go. That one.
Yeah, and so today's podcast is in fact a Pottercast.
Dun, dun, dun!
And our latest podcast, and if you haven't been following us on our podcast,
Then go back and watch them all.
for real, we're kind of going in
Vague order.
vague order of chronologically going through the books at this point. And today we are on, hands down for me at least,
And
my
me.
my favorite.
Jake and Josh's Harry Potter book of forever.
Yes, our favorite book of the series, and that would be number 3, Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes.
Aaron, where is this ranking your?
I don't know. I really liked the final 2 just because having all of the pieces fit together and make no more loose ends.
Fair.
But in terms of the movies, I really like the third one.
I gotta say, I think the third movie is probably one of the more accurate ones.
Yeah.
With a couple of glaring details that I will mention later.
Yeah, there were a lot of maybe not the best in terms of accuracy, but I thought it was pretty funny the way that they did that. I don't know. I always thought this one was the funniest, and if you can make it comical in some way, then cool.
Yeah. Josh, why does this rank so high for you?
You really want to ask that question?
Short form right now. We'll get to long form in a second.
Well, if I had to condense it down to one word, werewolves. But overall, it introduces one of my favorite characters of all time, Sirius
Lupin?
Black.
Sirius Black.
Lupin's up there, but mostly because he's a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
In case y'all can't tell, I like werewolves.
Yeah, he does.
But it introduces a lot of cool new spells. It really, the biggest thing for me, even bigger than werewolves, I know, is that it expands the world from the school to an actual wizarding world.
You really get a feel that like this.
There's a world now.
There's something outside those castle walls.
It could have been, like, in the first one, first 2, it was really just kind of...
Diagon Alley.
Muggle World, Diagon Alley, and Hogwarts.
Yes.
But in the third one, it really opens up.
Yes. Second one kind of opened up a little bit more when you got introduced to the Burrow.
A little bit.
This one you get introduced to Hogsmeade
And
Azkaban, and what evil dwells within Azkaban, and that's not talking about the criminals.
Right.
The
Shadow.
The reason why this one ranks up so high for me is that I really like the fact that it's not Voldemort-centric. It's the only book where Voldemort doesn't make an appearance. And
In some fashion.
in any way possible. Every other book he makes some kind of appearance, whether it's in the second one where he was a memory, or the first one he's on the back of someone's head, and then after the fourth one it's all him in physical form. And so I mean you get a couple mentions, but I mean he's not what's centered around. I think this book was the one where Rowling decided, all right, we're gonna answer some questions, we're gonna open up some new questions. and we're just gonna expand the world for you and let you get a feel how big this world really is.
Yeah.
And so I think if I were to break it down, it's the expansion of it, and it's the introduction to everything outside of Hogwarts and all the new stuff, including Lupin and Sirius, who are two of my favorite characters throughout the whole series.
Yeah.
I was like, they're two characters I really loved reading about.
All right. Want to dive in with anything in particular?
You got a couple points written up there. Do you want to start talking about one?
Okay, so I took the whiteboard that we normally use for games, and I put some talking points on it. First one up is werewolves, because I was a little surprised that there was no mention of them earlier in the series, because they're one of the first few things that people think of when they think of magical creatures. I mean, vampires, werewolves, then I start thinking about the magical creatures. But werewolves, I mean, they're very old, they're in almost every single culture around the world.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was really interesting is that Rowling used werewolves in general to embody the concept of the AIDS epidemic.
Yes.
People were treated differently because they had AIDS, just like with werewolves. Now, admittedly, it's a little bit better of a reason if they're a werewolf. I mean, once a month they turn into a giant rage monster and go rip everything up. People with AIDS, I don't think they do that.
I think we can be a little bit glad that they don't either.
Yeah, but also I liked Remus Lupin, of course. Remus and Romulus, raised by wolves. I think it's interesting she didn't go with the one who won the fight.
Who won the fight?
Romulus, because it became Rome.
Oh yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't realize about that until I started playing. And I won't go on too long of a tangent of this. I started playing Assassin's Creed Brotherhood because you have the Romulus missions, and Romulus was like he had followers, and they all like donned some kind of hood or something that resembled a wolf.
Right.
And I read more about on Romulus and figured that
Romulus
it was centered around werewolves.
Right.
And I thought that was really awesome. Yeah, good.
Lupin comes from lupine, which is the Latin
Wolf.
name for wolf.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, yeah, so he was a wolf from the beginning. But,
Yes.
I find it interesting that she chose Remus instead of Romulus, because Remus was killed.
Yeah, but if you think about it, Remus Lupin isn't a guy who is like, he's always been down on his luck, and he's always been the underdog, and he's always been he's been the losing one.
Yeah, particularly in the 7th book.
Yeah. So I think that's why she did it. If he was
to foreshadow his death,
not to foreshadow his death, but just to kind of show you that. Well, maybe if she named him Romulus, people would draw that connection more and like be surprised. Well, like why if his name's Romulus, why is he kind of such a I don't want to say loser, but
he really kind of was. Yeah,
underdog, someone who can't get ahead of the game, ahead of life.
The werewolf is an underdog.
No pun intended.
Did you just pick up on that?
No, I just finally found a break in the conversation.
I wasn't going for pun there, but yeah, sure, why not?
No, but I think it was more along the lines of Lupin was destined to die, so Remus was cut down in a very violent way, and so was, Remus.
We don't know how they were cut down, do we?
Remus and Romulus?
No, Lupin.
Oh, Lupin? I thought it said specifically in the book, but I could be wrong.
I think we can assume it was probably the killing curse.
Yes, we can probably
We've
assume that
speculated about this before, and we'll get more to this probably when we start talking about the 7th book.
Yeah.
I want to say that it wasn't something as bad as that. I have a feeling that like they weren't killed in that brutal of a fashion.
I was really just a quick side note about the 7th one. I was kind of annoyed because I wanted to see Fenrir Greyback and Lupin go at it wolf to
That
wolf.
would have been awesome.
But
I think because people are expecting that, that's why Rowling didn't put it.
I wasn't expecting. I was hoping. Big difference. But any particular things that were significant to you guys about the werewolves being in it, or
no, not really for me. I like werewolves. I like the lore of them, and I've always been kind of a fan of the werewolves. But I mean, other than that, I was just like, oh, cool, werewolves. I never picked up on it early that
it was Remus.
Well, because they always said crystal ball, and in the movie they made it look they made it more apparent that it was a moon.
Yeah.
And like that would have given a dead giveaway if they put that in the book.
Besides, his name.
Yes. Well, but I didn't know anything about the lore of like Lupine or Remus or something like that.
Also, side note, his hair was a dark gray brown. It's the same color of the wolf he changes into.
Oh, yeah.
And
Nice.
it's actually a fairly generic wolf color.
What about you? Anything significant about the werewolves?
I thought that with the werewolves came a lot of new creatures in general. So again, it was
opened up the possibilities.
Yeah, it opens up possibilities. It's not just wizards in the magic.
Not to mention, it makes the whole world, because in the first two, it was really like, there were a couple of magical creatures, but...
No, I'm not making motions toward you guys. There's a fly on me. I apologize.
Oh. Regardless, there were a couple of creatures that were dangerous. The basilisk, but that was a very Voldemort-centric creature.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas...
See, yeah, because it's giant snake.
Well, it was giant snake, but it was actually utilized by Voldemort's heir.
Yeah.
But werewolves kind of added this chaotic element of this world is very dangerous inherently. So I thought that was a really cool thing to add.
They had made mentions of it before, like you got with how you learned how Quirrell got his turban, acquired his turban, and then along with how cheesy they were, but with Gilderoy Lockhart's book titles.
Right.
And then he had
Holiday with Hags, Gadding with Ghouls, Voyages with Vampires, etc.,
Yeah.
Wanderings with Werewolves.
Year with the Yeti.
Yeah.
But so it gave you an idea that, like, yeah, there is something more violent.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? About that world, and that we haven't been introduced to, but maybe we will.
But this was the first truly concrete evidence that this was a dangerous world.
Mm-hmm. No, I liked it. I liked the introduction of it. I just like there was a lot of cool creatures introduced into this world.
To me, werewolves actually added a purpose to the school. It's not just, like schools in our Muggle world where we learn things and we utilize that just to make us more productive.
Mm-hmm.
This is now it becomes less about just becoming productive as a wizard and more of how to defend yourself against things like werewolves, which are not necessarily sentient.
Mm-hmm.
Gives a purpose to the defense against the dark arts,
Right.
which doesn't necessarily have to be this evil being, because it existed before Voldemort existed. It existed for things like this. They want to kill you and eat you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
basically.
we don't want things to kill you and eat you.
Well, not all want to kill you and eat you, but
No.
most do.
Just want to
A
suck
lot.
your soul out.
I'd actually, I would say most do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some just want to take your soul.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that out of all the creatures introduced in this one, werewolves were your favorite.
Absolutely closely followed by Hippogriff.
Really? I would have thought Dementors would have been next.
No. The Hippogriff is so...
The three best... I feel like the three best creatures in the Wizarding world were introduced in this book, which made it awesome, even more awesome. Because you were introduced to Hippogriffs, which are just... I love just the thought of them.
Yeah.
And the creature that I pictured in my head. Yeah, introduced to werewolves. Everyone loves werewolves. And Dementors. And when I first started reading the book, I pronounced it wrong. I pronounced it Dementors. Which, if you listen to how I say it, it still kind of sounds the same.
Yeah, well, there's... Yeah, with the Dementors, it's... what I like about the name Dementor is it's so many things at once. There's demon, there's tormentor, there's torment, there's...
Yes.
All these things that are all bad.
It's just a really bad, dark name. And, you hear that, even if you don't know how to say it right, Dementor, you see demon in there immediately.
Yeah.
It pops out. And you're not going to be like, oh, this has got to be a happy-go-lucky creature.
And I don't think I will ever forget the sound in the movies they use for when the Dementor starts to kiss.
Yeah.
That ragged, deep breath and just... No!
I like the effect they can give on you, too. I really liked hearing what happened to Harry, and, when they started sucking his soul, he heard his mom screaming and all that.
Because he makes a slightly worse past than everybody.
Yeah, but it also makes you wonder what else do other people hear when the Dementor.
If anything, because remember, Ron mentions that he only felt cold.
Yes.
And, all the happiness
But
was gone.
I highly doubt that Harry's the only exclusive one that hears something.
Well, yeah, no.
When they were talking about it in the book, because I was just rereading it last night, that one of the other characters that was affected really heavly was Ginny, who the year before had been...
She was possessed?
Yeah.
So forced to kill things?
Yeah,
I imagine they're kind of along the lines with Thestrals. Thestrals, thank you.
Okay, you got any care magical creature questions on your guy?
Exactly. Something traumatic has to happen. You have to either witness it or it has to happen to you. And then what the Dementors do is when they start giving you the Dementor's kiss, they bring it up. It brings it up. And heightens the intensity of it. And I like that wasn't something I immediately like made a connection with at first, but like after reading the 5th book and then going back and reading the 3rd, that's when I started made that connection. Is that like, yeah, maybe some magical creatures are more connected than we think.
Yeah. As for, I don't know, there's something about the Dementors that I'm not a fan of. I mean,
You're not
besides the
supposed to
fact
be
that
a
you're not
fan
supposed
of
to.
them. Yeah.
One, I don't know, plot-wise, I think they're amazing. I think they were a great addition because, one, they are probably the most inherently evil creature that I can think of. That just simply by existing, they're evil.
I mean, there is Dolores Umbridge.
We're gonna have a podcast entirely devoted to her.
We have a podcast entirely devoted to the evil things in the Potter world.
Yeah, good idea. But what I like about the Dementors, you don't explore their backstory.
Mm-hmm.
They're just there, which actually makes them a lot scarier.
Not to mention their primary like use is that their fact is that they're
They suck
guards.
people's souls out?
Well, they suck people's souls out, but they're guards to the
For people
most
like,
dangerous prison ever.
Yeah, for people like Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yes.
Helena Bonham Carter is still fine.
I think this just kind of hated me. I think this is what made me like the 3rd one so much is that it kind of showed you that there's a lot more evil out there than just Voldemort. And there's a lot more to worry about than just Voldemort. Like, yeah, Voldemort's something to worry about, but once he's gone, it's not like everything's safe still. There's still
a lot of danger.
There's a lot of evil and darkness out there that can still get you.
Like Hinky Punks.
Sure.
Contributions.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kellen, what's your contribution?
Sorry. How do trolls fit in? Because they made an appearance in the 1st book. Are they part of the inherently evil creature side, or are they just dopey like they were portrayed in the movie?
If you can't hear it on the podcast, what Kellen's asking is about trolls and where they kind of fall in line with the whole evil monster thing, whether they fall in line with being inherently evil, if they fall in line with just being dopey. I would throw them in with kind of the dopier side. Trolls, I've never been one to like find trolls really like evil and dark and like monsters.
Well,
like you read fairy tales, you just hear books.
Yeah.
Trolls are mean and vicious, but they're also idiots.
Yeah.
A lot of stories. Just 1 second, Kellen. A lot of stories that trolls are in, they're actually really cunning.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
And most of the stories are Norse, right?
Yep.
That's why.
So the only reason I bring it up is because in Harry Potter there appears to be a pretty stark dichotomy in the different creatures. Either something is inherently good and really, really good, like we're talking about like the Hippogriff and things like that, things that are like paragons, and you see the inherently evil ones. The troll is the only one that I've seen that is truly just neutral and basic.
Well, I actually...
What about the centaur? The centaur is on the side of centaur. It does what it wants.
It's neutral. It doesn't really have
I would
a side.
actually classify werewolves and trolls and hippogriffs all as neutral. Because while the hippogriff does have a certain regal air, because it is literally the king's best friend. It is the king's hunting steed as a horse, and it is the king's hunting bird as an eagle. But...
it demands respect, is what you're saying.
It does. It demands respect, but you can be good or evil and give it respect, and it may respect you back. It is an animal that... well, it's an animal. It's neutral.
Yeah.
Werewolves, yes, they're viewed as evil because, they have a slight slaughtering problem.
Mm-hmm.
But they're hungry. They're doing what predators do.
Yes. But see, you say that they're predators.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Well, what do predators normally fall under? You normally don't put a predator under, like, a good sign.
Normally, you don't put a predator under any kind of sign.
Exactly. It's just doing what it does to survive. If anybody's heard the story of the frog and the scorpion, I think that's a perfect example.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Or
right.
Frog's going across the river with the scorpion on his back. Scorpion goes, sting, 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 motherfucker. And Frog says, why you kill us both? And Scorpion goes, it's because it's what I do.
Way to turn a very kind of beautifully tragic story into something really stupid and dopey.
It's what I do.
Thanks for that, Josh.
That's Josh's natural instinct.
It's my version of being the scorpion.
But yeah, I mean, I guess
to
you can be right. Is that you
impress
wouldn't
at the
you wouldn't put werewolves in a evil under any evil category, more along the lines of just a predatory category.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
not
Jake-
inherently,
Jake-
obviously, just like people, because they are half people. There are some that are good, like Lupin.
But then
and-
you're guys like Finny or Greyback, and
Yeah.
he's gonna be
Even
just,
the only thing that would drag werewolves, in my opinion, a little more evil on the spectrum would be the fact that the good ones, Lupin in this example, the best he can do is stay away.
yes,
Whereas Fenrir Greyback, who is unquestionably evil,
yes,
oh, he's right there in the thick of things.
yeah.
Even the best werewolves are still predators.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Jake, I'll make up the story of the frog and the scorpion later because I'll record myself saying it perfectly and I'll put it on YouTube. I've
Okay.
done this before and James loves it.
All right. So do we want to get off creatures here, or do we want to
No, you didn't talk about the anime cast.
the anime?
Oh yeah, that's a big part. Well, we can say that for when we discuss Serious Blast.
Yes.
Um,
Which we're probably just gonna about to jump into
Well,
because
Erin's
was-
not excited, is she?
no, I was also told
Erin's pissing herself right now about him.
I was told specifically by Lauren to bring up Buckbeak.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've mentioned before that the hippogriff is the king's best friend.
Mhm.
But I don't know, there's something about hippogriffs in general that I find I don't know, I think it's kind of a beautiful dichotomy between predator and prey.
I
Because a
think-
horse would be more prey than predator.
Going back to the whole respect thing, I think they can sense, like, you can act like you're giving them respect, but I think they can sense if you're being false about it.
Yeah.
Because if you ever played the third Harry Potter game, Harry and Hermione can ride hippogriffs. Ron can't. You go if you because you can switch between the three characters in the game.
Right.
If you go up to if you go to Buckbeak or any of the other hippogriffs on the grounds, you can bow to them, but they go up on hind legs, they flap their wings, and they hurt Ron. And like you can't, as Ron, you can't.
Really?
Yeah, and I think I'm not saying that Ron Weasley is a guy who wouldn't show respect, but seeing how the game is, they had to kind of show that in
balance it.
essence too and balance it. But they can, I think they can definitely sense like a false loyalty or a false respect.
Yeah, and just like going back to the monarchy metaphor, I mean, just like a king,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna hurt you if not kill you if you don't show them the proper respect.
That's true.
Yeah, they're definitely. I would actually label them king of beasts.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
them
I
and the
wouldn't.
Griffin.
So I wouldn't say along the lines that Ron didn't disrespect them or wasn't loyal
He
to them.
didn't show
He
enough
didn't.
respect.
He didn't understand that
Why?
how much or understand why you need to show loyalty to him, and didn't understand how much you needed to show to
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Hippogriff is one of those creatures that I really like. I think this is why, because a hippogriff is not a pet; it's a partner.
Yes.
It is an equal.
If
And-
I were to put its intelligence on any kind of level and compare it, I would put it next to like dolphins and porpoises.
They left it pretty ambiguous, but it's got to be pretty intelligent, and that's that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And I don't know because it can understand because Buckbeak can understand fairly complex commands, as shown by the end.
So can a lot of other animals though.
True, but I don't know.
It's really smart.
I'm not
I mean,
trying to.
you got birds out there you can teach the saints to. I mean,
But complex commands don't be found for an animal it's an instinct, but not for a hippogriff. Hippogriff are warriors.
yeah.
So it's not be found to be stealthy, to be even in a hippogriff's mind probably cowardly is not in its nature. And so it's I don't know. What I'm arguing here is I'm saying that I think hippogriffs might be human level intellect.
I think you might be able to draw that. I'm sure. I would say that's probably a little bit of a stretch. I want to say they're on that level. I would say they're pretty close though.
I'd say it's ambiguous enough to say
Maybe
if you
maybe
go either
on
way.
maybe on level with like chimpanzees or something
Okay,
or
that makes
primates like that.
Okay.
So, I think you could. I think that's the closest you could give them intelligence wise. I don't think you could put them on par with humans.
All right, that makes sense. All right, so we talked about. Okay, I just like to point
We
something out.
extensively went into talk about creatures, almost a half hour worth.
I'd just like to bring up. Okay, in the movies, Azkaban is viewed as a triangle.
Yes.
My brother, I think it was Matthew, first suggested that it's the Bermuda Triangle
Nah.
because it never says where Azkaban is.
But seeing where it is, but seeing like the location of where Hogwarts is, It's not that close to where the Bermuda Triangle would be. And you got to think, if Sirius broke out of there, swimming as a dog in the middle of the ocean like that to land, I don't think you would have the strength for that.
Well, in the movie, it's depicted as being in the middle of an ocean.
Actually, no. If you look closely enough, there is a large cliffside, and there's probably about 600 yards in between it, and then Azkaban.
Like Cuba.
I'm not gonna win this argument with
it's
you.
Alcatraz.
I think it was the Alcatraz
It's
of
Alcatraz.
the Wizarding World.
Alcatraz. In California?
San Francisco.
Which was on an island.
But it's right out. It's right in the.
All right, yeah.
So you're suggesting that Azkaban's in San Francisco?
No,
She's
but
saying
it's
that it could be
the
Alcatraz.
Alcatraz.
It's equally to Alcatraz.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
It's the
okay.
Alcatraz of the Wizarding.
Actually, that-
I'm the only one that made that connection immediately.
Yeah, I mean it's the name of the.
It's
in the
I
name.
didn't make it immediately,
When I first started reading the books, I don't think I really knew about Alcatraz, so I didn't make that
but
connection.
yeah, even phonetically, Azkaban and Alcatraz.
That's I mean, it's pretty damn close.
We went through the Dementors. I really wish we could reproduce that conversation about how Dementors.
God
came to
damn
be.
it! I know.
Before we started podcasting,
It was
Jake and
about a week before we decided to do our first one.
and this was kind of the thing that really kicked us into high
Yes.
gear. We were having this discussion. It was Jake, myself, Pockets was here, Matthew
Matt.
was here, and I feel like someone else was here.
I think Max might have been here.
And we talked until 1 a.m. about Dementors.
Well, Dementors kicked it off, and they were kind of the overlying tone of it, but it transferred from Dementors to all the other dark magical creatures in the Wizarding world, and just a lot of theories, and if we could bring that up, that could be one whole podcast in itself, because it was probably about 2.5 hours that I was just talking like that.
I gotta say, real quick, my favorite theory was one Matthew came up with. The Dementors originated when a dark wizard tried to make a Horcrux and failed. So it
I remember that.
So it drew the soul out of the person, and so he's going around trying to find his soul, creating other Dementors as he
That's
goes.
why the Dementor's
Dementor's
kiss
kiss.
sucks your soul out, is because it's
trying
that
to find
dark.
itself.
Yeah. And
It's a beautiful, tragic
It is.
backstory.
I like
It is. I really like it, and I would love to. I would love to hear someone pitch that to Rowling and see what she would say about that, or see what Rowling's idea was of how the Dementors came to be.
Yeah.
because I knew she drew it from her depression that she was going through.
Right.
But like, how do you go from being depressed to giving it a physical form? And then on top of that, how does that physical form start? Because Dementors is something J.K. Rowling came up all by herself.
Oh yeah, there are things that are similar in other lore,
like
but
banshees and stuff like that.
wraiths, that sort of thing. But nothing is
completely made
the
up
same.
out of J.K. Rowling's head and imagination. And you have to come up, if you make something up like that, you got to come up with some kind of backstory towards it. And I would love to hear what her backstory idea is of where Dementors come from and originate.
Yeah, me too.
But I love Matt's idea. Matt's idea is probably the best one you could ever think of.
It was kind of bone chilling. I mean, just to think of
I'm not. Yeah, it kind of like when he brought that up. I remember specifically, he kind of left everyone in awe for a good minute or so of everyone just kind of chewing that over and thinking about it. It's like, wow, that's actually really
heavy.
That's heavy, and that's a really good idea and good
plausible.
theory and plausible, very plausible. Because they talk about how Horcruxes can, if done wrong, it can destroy you. It doesn't say that's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it can destroy you in a very bad way, and such that turn you into something that
A more
causes
symbolic way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll
And-
destroy you in a symbolic way.
And so I think of right now, that's our headcanon how Dementors come to be.
That works for me.
It works for me, too.
I'm taking it.
Yeah.
So, moving from that,
Well, we have one more aspect of that to discuss.
Patronus Charm.
The Patronus Charm.
I like it as the fact that you can't use it on anything other than Dementors.
There's
Right.
one other thing, and that's in the expanded universe of Harry
Yes.
Potter, and that's Lethifold.
That's
Which
Lethifold.
are
But it
the,
wasn't
kind of the physical version of Dementors.
Yes.
For I don't know if you know. Okay, for Aaron and for all of us who don't, and for all of you who don't know, Lethifold are dark magical creatures. They are the shape and size of a cloak, and they can move. They move autonomously, which alone is creepy. But they move at night, usually in tropical environments, and they will go into people's houses, smother them to death, and absorb them into their body, and leave.
But on a brighter note.
The Patronus Charm is the only thing found to work on them so far.
I think that's what I like about the Patronus charm is the fact that it's one of few charms you can use that's not used
for everything.
For everything, it's not. You can't harm a human with the Patronus charm.
You can blind him.
You can blind them, but you're not going to harm them or hurt them.
It's the flashbang of
I guess in a way it could be. And I like the fact that it takes the form of something very near and dear to you.
Well, there's an explanation for that.
Yes.
Patron.
What makes you happy.
No.
Well.
Patron. Patronus, patron, patron is the Latin for father.
Oh.
So, the funny thing is, Harry is one of the most powerful Patronus charms.
Yes.
And it's a stag, which was his father.
Father's animagus.
It's so beautiful and so sad.
I love J.K. Rowling's genius definitely showed in that, and showing what her that whole arc storyline right there of how Harry. We'll get into it in a second.
Yes, Kellen.
Kellen, what do you want to say real quick?
Okay, just real quick. I understand that the movie is not considered in its basic form canon.
Fair.
But it was.
Let's say it's canon to a movieverse.
Yes.
Okay. But Rowling oversaw it, things like that.
Right.
And a small detail that I noticed is when Harry casts that large Patronus charm against the horde of Dementors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I know where you're coming. I think I know what you're going to say, but go for it.
It creates ripples on the water.
Yeah.
Does that not mean that it has some sort of physical influence on the world?
It's energy. That's the best way I can. It's energy, and it somehow affects and it affects its surroundings.
Like a force push type deal.
Yeah.
The only thing I was really disappointed in what I thought you were going to get for was with in the book. It's another book movie thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's he summons the stag Patronus, and then instead of standing there and being badass, it bum rushes all the Dementors and takes them out. I kind of wanted to see that. I mean, I understand. I think it was really cool, and even I'm not sure which I like better.
I like the stance it took in the movie because it made it seem like a really majestic and regal beast. Which, in fact, that's what a Patronus charm is. Let's face it; it's a very regal, but
even the bunny one,
because of how powerful you have to be to summon it.
Well, I don't know. The other thing that I like, one, stag is also king of the forest.
Yes.
And where did Harry first cast his majorly powerful Patronus charm?
In the forest.
And I thought that was a fun little tidbit. The other thing was, it kind of, in the movie, it was just standing there and being badass.
Yes.
Now, one thing I might like that better is because it kind of brought to mind the idea of using a holy relic against demons.
Yeah.
Just the presence of this, let's use the cross.
Yes.
Destroys them, makes them flee, etc. The presence of so much concentrated, happiness and caring, and basically it's the embodiment of your father, which ideally your father protects you. It causes all of these dark things, these sadness and all these things to flee.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's amazing on a whole nother level.
It is. It really is. I liked the arc of. It's kind of funny how it worked out for me because in a way, he was introduced to a new family member. When it was first talking about the Patronus, and when Harry first saw it, witnessed and the Dementors getting driven back, and he's like, "Oh, this is my father." I was like, okay, there's no way it's gonna be his father
because
I thought
that's dead.
I thought maybe maybe he's about to get introduced to an uncle he never knew about, and no one ever felt like telling him about, and that just happened to be like. And he's going to be introduced in a way that he had been watching over Harry his whole life, and kind of in a way protecting him. And so I was like,
which would have been awesome too.
I know, which would have been awesome. And then it was kind of funny how it worked out because you find out it's Harry, but in return, Harry did in a way get introduced to an uncle-like figure.
Yeah,
with it being serious.
One of the things I thought was kind of funny about that was it brings back something that's been said multiple times in the first two books.
Mm-hmm.
They always, of course, everyone mentions Lily's eyes, but. Every time it's preceded by, he looks so much like James.
Yeah.
Except for his eyes. He has Lily's eyes.
Yeah.
And then, it's to the point where Harry himself thought that he was his father.
Yeah.
That's an eerie resemblance.
Well, it would be different with me because I tower over my father.
If I lost my hair,
yeah.
I mean...
No.
If I was a guy, I actually am spitting over to my father.
I always get that from my family and friends. It's like, you look exactly like your dad, but that's facial,
Right.
Physically wise, at least my face does. I tower over my dad, and body wise, he's a little bit stockier than I am. And so like I would never confuse myself with my dad if I saw like a silhouette of him. I would have like, oh, that's my dad, or like that's my dad. I'm mistaking it for me to be me. Like it's just the whole physically different.
Granted, at the time, he didn't know it was possible for him to be standing across that lake, so it would be easier for him to make that mistake.
That's true.
Well, I mean, one of the most famous magics in the world is necromancy, so...
Which was
that
never
could've been a thing.
never really introduced or shown in
the closest thing that would have been traditional would have been Trelawney, actually, or the Inferi.
Really?
We'll get... In standard medieval RPGs, or of any kind, necromancy is the raising of the dead.
Yeah.
The Greek necromancy was all about getting information from the dead. It was a form of divination.
So kind of like a Ouija board.
It was the same in the Norse mythology too, just by the way.
Oh, cool. Fun fact.
Yeah.
There you go.
I say Greek because necromancy comes from
I know.
the Greek.
I'm aware.
But, yeah, it was, and I think it was really cool. And also, I'm gonna give him points for recognizing there was a person there behind all the mentors.
And the blinding white light.
Yeah, he gets major points for that.
Yeah.
So we rolled a 20.
Especially someone with the, glasses.
Yeah. He has glasses. Wow.
You have really good eyes there for someone who wears glasses.
He has his mother's eyes.
But yeah, I gotta say, next to... the Patronus Charm is probably my hands down favorite charm and spell. I do love Sectum Sempra, only because it's useful in a duel.
It's such a vicious spell.
But due to the fact of what the meaning behind the Patronus and what it is needed to produce it, it gives it so much more meaning and so much more purpose.
Well,
and
for me, when I was little, I mean, I've mentioned before that I have a fantastic relationship with my dad. Mm-hmm. So when I was little, when I got scared, I'd call for my dad. Mm-hmm. So that's to me what that scene in the forest reminds me of.
Oh, okay.
Because the presence of my dad chasing away all these fears and doubts and things like that. So that's one of the reasons I think that it's just so powerful.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It's definitely, I think overall, it's probably one of the most popular and favorited spells in the whole Harry Potter fandom.
The closest thing that I can compare it to is raw power.
Yeah.
It is power.
It's just energy.
Yeah.
Because you have to think, because you're drawing it from...
You created energy.
You're drawing it from within yourself.
Right.
You have to, because you specifically have to think of something that makes you happy.
Right.
And a memory, it's like something you like, and that causes. So you're literally drawing energy from your body and creating that spell. Whether when an Expelliarmus isn't from your physical form. Yes, Kellen.
Was it ever expanded upon in the books where magic comes from?
No. It was just kind of, let's not question this because this could unravel at any moment.
It's just there.
Okay, so they didn't want to put plot holes in it, so they just eliminated them.
Yeah.
Very much.
Kind of a neat little maneuver. But, there's not, I can go on for days about the Patronus Charm.
Oh yeah? You know what else I can go on for days about?
What?
The Marauders.
Yeah!
Right? You like that segue right there?
I did.
No, that's another thing that makes this book so great is you get introduced to
Troublemakers that outshine Fred and George.
that and Harry's dad's backstory. Not just that, but his parents' whole backstory too, and how they came to Matt and like fell in love and all that.
And of course, Pettigrew.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that right now.
Okay, whenever I think of that name, I always think of myself, Dinkelberg, Pettigrew.
Or I think of Seinfeld when he goes Newman.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what it is in this book. And
actually, I saved Dinkelberg for Umbridge. Umbridge.
But yeah, the Marauders. Everybody wants it, and I even want it too. I want a prequel of just one of their adventures and stories together. I think a great one to start off would be them learning to become Animagus to help protect Lupin.
Yeah,
and help keep kind of track of Lupin while he's about to form. For those of you who don't know, when the Marauders all join together, and who the Marauders are. It's Peter Pettigrew, James Potter, Remus Lupin, and Sirius Black.
How do you not know that, though?
Great. I know exactly.
Oh, yeah, if you watch it.
Which is Kellen.
Anyway.
I'll get to that in a minute.
So, they...
One of the most angry things.
No one knew about Lupin's secret except for Dumbledore. And then once Lupin became friends with James, Sirius, and Peter,
They got to friend level 4 and unlock the tragic backstory.
yeah, they got to find out. They found out about his story, and so what they did instead, and this is what is great about that friendship that they have. When you find out something like that, you would think that they would want to run the other way and not have anything to deal with someone who's a werewolf and turns into a dangerous beast.
Unless they're crazy like me.
Or the Marauders. And so instead of that, they decide, they're like, you know what, we're going to help him instead. And we're going to do everything we can to comfort him and help him. So what do? They train themselves to do the hardest thing in magic. Transform themselves into animals.
Not just animals. Animals that can hold off a werewolf.
Well, werewolf. So a big shaggy black dog and a stag.
Okay.
And then Peter would be a mouse because, well, he's a bitch.
I get that.
And
It's useful in terms of...
I get that it fits the stag and doe motif, but I didn't really understand why James chose a stag.
think about it. You just said it. You said it yourself a little bit ago. What's a stag? King of the forest. What is James' ego?
Pretty big.
King of Hogwarts. That's what he wanted to be. And
My
so,
point being, he's trying to stop a werewolf. Wolves hunt stags.
but
Regular wolves.
But
Maybe
stags
that-
kill the wolves.
But maybe that was
That's
a
also true.
maybe that was a ploy he used to keep Lupin in check, because
That's
when
possible.
Lupin would want to break out and go hunt something, transform into a stag, which is bait for him.
However, if anyone's played Skyrim against a frenzied stag, you know stags are pretty badass. I got killed by a stag on Skyrim.
They're in Skyrim?
Stags. There are elk, there are deer, there are...
I haven't
Typically,
came
they
across.
just kind of bail when you hit them.
Yeah, someone, I think it was a Spriggan, used a frenzy on it, and then I killed the Spriggan. And then it came up around and killed me.
Back on topic.
I was talking about stags.
But no, I think one on top of it is it's got something to do with James' ego and the fact that Stag is king of the forest, and James had an ego the size
match.
of yeah, definitely to match. On top of that, though, it could have been a way for him to bait Lupin when he was a wolf, because like you said, wolves hunt stags.
And as Kellen brought up, stags do oftentimes kill wolves.
yeah.
Which
And
makes
so-
them a really badass
And so,
herbivore.
why not, bait them with what they hunger for most? And so, it makes
Human
sense
flesh?
to me. It makes sense to me. Because, yes, werewolves hunger for human flesh, but there's that wolf element to it.
Right,
where
right.
they would, you get what I mean.
But I think the biggest part about the movie, and this was brought up, this is the biggest thing I don't like about it. The Marauders were such a big part of that. It was a really important piece of the plot.
Yeah.
And it just kind of blew right past us.
Yep.
There was no mention that James was a Marauder, which really pissed me off. There was no mention, how did Lupin know how to work the map?
Yeah, but if you're smart enough, you know how, you can use, like, your inference. I can't talk today.
You make inferences?
Yes, there you go. You can barely talk too.
Yeah.
Like
How
as soon
would
as
you know the password?
Yeah.
You can't really infer that.
And after all, if you just tell it to tell you its secrets, it's gonna insult you.
But if Lupin knows how to work it, people should realize it then. Okay, well, obviously he knows either who created the map or he had some kind of hand in creating the map.
The average people who go to the movies,
I don't even think the average people are that dumb where they can't make that connection.
you have a lot more faith in humanity than I do.
I do.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think you have more faith in humanity than everybody else here.
Oh, shut up.
Combined.
Anyway, but no, yeah, it does bug me too that they didn't put more of the Marauders in the movie.
Especially because Peter Pettigrew was a Marauder. That should have been mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because one, that's how he knew about the Shrieking Shack.
Yeah.
Two, it just makes it so much more sad.
I know.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes along the lines with the 6-book to 6 movie, where the Marauders were a big play in the 3rd movie, and they didn't put it, or the book, and they didn't put it in the movie. Same thing with Voldemort's memories and how he became Voldemort. That was a big play in the 6th book, but they didn't put it in the movie.
I'd also like to point out, the Marauders were insanely good at magic.
Yeah, they were.
Because one, they turned this into... Two, how skilled would you have had to be to create something like the Marauders map?
It's really cool.
It shows...
Not to mention, what did it say? They were in the 3rd year when they became Animagus?
Yeah. No, so, okay, just think.
No.
You have to create a spell that tracks... that figures out who all's in the building,
Mm-hmm.
where they are, what direction they're going, it showed, how fast they're going, something that can track all the secret passages of the building.
I have a feeling they have some. There was someone not mentioned that helped, that had a hand in
I
helping
hope so.
him.
Of course, it would have been Dumbledore.
No, there's... Ooh... Yes,
would have been
because
Dumbledore
because
of Lupin.
Because when Lupin turns, that way they can pull the map out and they can see who's in their path between them and the Whomping
And where
Willow.
Lupin is if he gets away.
That's true. Wow, like
Boom, headcanon accepted.
Definitely, that's great. That's kind of mind blowing too. Is that the fact that maybe it wasn't the Marauders that created the map? It was Dumbledore, and he gave it to them.
And it was
and then
it was the Marauders map. It belonged to
They
them.
put their secret security charms on it.
Yeah, of insulting people. Yo.
Yes.
Also, it seems like it makes sense because it's shown pretty often that Dumbledore's a tricky bastard.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe him ever.
A tricky gay bastard.
What? At least
No,
he didn't
you
have
were-
a bender
you
for
were-
kids.
Oh, were you done, or were you like...
Yeah, no, he was.
Oh, you were adding support to the Dumbledore helped them theory.
Kinda, yeah. He was a tricky bastard, so it makes sense that he would take these kids in who were obviously
Dumbledore
incredibly
flat out
talented.
scares me. Just the level of intellect Dumbledore has scares me.
You're kind of stupid if you don't fear him a little bit.
Especially, I think the thing that really kind of brought my attention to being afraid of him was actually in a movie. It was I just remember it was when he screamed silence.
That would be in the first one.
Yeah.
When the troll
With the
broke
trolls
in.
in the
Yes. Yeah, I know, right?
Silence. Oh god! And then I froze.
And then I would never talk again.
Should I just stay quiet?
Forever. Aaron, you wanted to
tongue
bring up
disappeared.
Sirius Black and Harry's discovery of him, of that Sirius is after him.
Yeah. So, just kind of the difference between the movie and the book. Because in the book, you kind of found out on accident the first time. Well, he found out, obviously, on the night bus, which is cool. Yeah, when...
No, he found out Sirius broke out on the night bus. He found out that Sirius was...
I'm gonna... Which was... He found out that Sirius broke out on the night bus, which I think was also a cool addition to extending that wizarding world in general.
Yeah.
I like that Stan Sean Pike was in there, and then bad things happened to him. Mm-hmm. I never really liked Stan.
I really liked the sequence they did in the movie, though. The fact that
Take it away, Annie.
They're driving like crazy, and it affects the content in the bus.
Yeah.
Effectively.
But the bus itself can do anything.
No, bus itself can do anything, but the beds in there, you're at their disposal if you're on
Yeah,
one.
mind your head.
And I like how Stan's just kind of leaning against the glass, just reading the
Take it away,
newspaper all
Anne.
the time.
Yeah, take it. I'm really fixated.
I love the addition of the shrunken head. Oh my god, one of the few things.
Take it away, Anne. Yeah, take it away, Annie.
One of the few additions in the Harry Potter universe where it's not in the book, but they put it in the movie,
and it's better?
you loved it. It made it
shrunken
It just
head.
made it so much better.
Whenever we go somewhere, now like Dad's like we're going somewhere with Dad, we'll get in the car and I'll just go. Take her away, Aaron, and then either Dad or my brother, or I'll just finish it with, take it away, Annie.
Now that you've said it 6 billion times
I'm
already.
sorry, I can't stop.
No, it was Shrunken Head was awesome. I loved it. But anyway, we were talking about Harry.
Harry discovering that Sirius was after him. So in the movie, Arthur Weasley comes right out and tells Harry, hey,
there's a
you
crazy dude
gotta
after
be
you."
careful because Sirius is
Don't
out
get
and
murdered,
he
kids.
wants you dead, so don't go looking for
Hey
him.
kids, don't get murdered with
Harry
school.
kind of looks at him like,
Huh?
duh, why would I
Don't go looking for Black.
Whereas in the book, the Weasleys are
Stay away
discussing
from the
it.
crazed murderer.
and-
Got it.
And you get Harry's sassiness. It's like, why would I try to look for someone who's trying to kill me?
Yeah.
And then, of course, halfway through the movie, when he finds out that he betrayed his parents, he's like, I'm gonna go find this motherfucker. And it's just like, Harry, you're not doing what Mr. Weasley said.
Last time we watched it, it was me and Matthew, and one of the things.
One rule.
One of the things that
You had one thing to do, Harry. One thing.
when
You had one
Mr.
job.
Weasley, when Mr. Weasley says don't go looking for Black, Matthew goes, "All right, stay away from the crazed murderer bent on killing me specifically." Got it.
But what is Harry? They should
The
just
one
make
thing Harry does.
just rename the titles of Harry, not listening. Harry Potter, and not giving a shit.
Harry Potter and the violating direct orders.
But
Harry Potter and the "You don't know me."
That was the sixth one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But in the book,
Yeah, back on topic. We get there eventually. We do get back eventually.
in the book, the Weasleys are trying to hide it from him. So Molly and Arthur are having this conversation. Do we tell him? Don't we? Even the Minister of Magic is like, don't fucking tell Harry.
Doesn't Mr. Weasley in the book? Doesn't he confront him before he gets on the train about it?
I can't remember if he was going to or.
He makes a little mention of it. He does make a little mention of it,
and Harry's like, "Bro, I already heard you. I already know. It's cool."
Yeah.
I got this.
And Weasley was in the middle about to tell him something important, but the train whistle rang and Harry had to get on. And then Mrs. Weasley's like, "Ron, don't forget the main plot twist," because Ron was gonna forget Scabbers.
Yeah. What if? Oh.
But seriously though,
Damn it, Weasley's.
great post on Tumblr is, how did Fred and George not realize that there was another man sleeping in the bed with Ron? You're looking at the Marauders maps. Fucking motherfucker showed up on the map with
We
Harry.
don't judge you, little brother. But no, I think it's just a case of them not paying attention.
Which,
Maybe they're
knowing
just
the-
liberal.
No,
On top of that,
Like, oh,
how many other
Ron
people
has
did
a
they see?
boyfriend.
How many other people did they see in bed with each other? Like, there's got to be a sex life at Hogwarts.
we've mentioned this several. You're really hooked on this idea.
I really.
It's gotta be. I mean,
He's
come
on
on.
Hermione Bender.
You gotta.
Clubs have to have something to do.
You gotta think. You gotta think though.
Smoke weed, eat food. Yeah, that sounds like.
Just
Dude,
massive
I wanna be a
orgies.
Hufflepuff.
But
Well,
I don't know. It's just an interesting thought because
Professor.
it's
Oh,
just
right next to the
Yeah,
kitchens.
we
Yep.
gonna
It's
get
just a-
Badger dank.
it's just
Oh my god.
That is a new official phrase. Kellen, I hate you.
it mentions everything else going on in school, but it doesn't mention anything. And I know because it's a kid's book, but it doesn't really mention anything
About a sex life or anything like that.
They talked about all
In
the
this-
people that snogging.
snogging and stuff. So you gotta imagine, well, there's snogging going on. There's got to be something else. And
Which, okay, if we're bringing up the Hogwarts sex life, we got to bring up how much of a douche is Ron?
why?
Lavender Brown. Do you think he took advantage of that?
We'll come back. We'll come back in the sixth. We'll come back in the sixth. We'll come back when we talk about the sixth book.
All right.
Back on. Damn it. Back on track.
All right. Oh, yeah. And then one of my favorite characters that it was introduced.
Yeah.
The murderer who turns into a dog.
The red herring.
Yeah.
Essentially, what he is.
Yeah, he's red herring. And I don't know. I love...
I thought he was a black dog.
And of course, I mean, there's the obvious thing about Sirius Black, Sirius being the dog star, and him being a black dog. And the Grim.
You're gonna suffer, but you're gonna be cheerful about it. Where were we going with the serious black conversation?
Well, the
don't know.
discovery thing, I was thinking that maybe the difference between the movie and the book, whereas in all of the movies, Harry has always been made out to be a hero. So why
Yeah.
would they be afraid of, they'd be like, here's this thing, you're gonna have to deal with it, go try not to be a hero about it, he goes and be a hero about it.
Yeah.
And
It's reverse psychology. They want him to take care of the problems for him. It's the government.
In the books,
We want to put Harry in danger. We just can't physically tell him, yo, go get in danger.
in the books, it seems like everybody treats him slightly more with kid gloves, not necessarily
Well,
as a bad thing, but he's legitimately
As a
kid.
realistic thing, because he's a kid.
But
Yeah, you
as
know?
a kid, they're being more real about it, and they're like, you're 13. We're not gonna be like, oh, by the way, there's this mass murderer after you. No pressure or anything. I know you got 2 more classes that you're adding on to your
But if
schedule."
you can get around to it, go ahead and track him down.
Those are hormones to deal with. Oh, by the way.
Yes, Kelvin.
So, just a thing. With the whole Sirius is a mass murderer, he's portrayed as a villain. With Harry, I've always seen him as okay. Get closer to the.
I want to
Back on topic.
I want to
Let's
make
go.
sure you're being picked up by
Okay.
Mike.
All right. Okay. Sorry. I'll let you guys get back to it. I apologize.
I don't know.
Okay.
All right, back to where
I
we
was trying to
were.
make sure you're being picked up by the mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
We've completely lost this now.
All right. Next topic.
Yeah, sure. We'll just skip it and go to next topic.
I ruined it.
And we all
Well,
kind
no,
of
Kellen,
ruined
we
it.
wanted to hear what you had to say. We just wanted to make sure you're being picked up by the mic. Anyway,
Okay.
the Whomping Willow.
Yes.
I don't know. I think that's one. It's kind of the ultimate like Chekhov's gun. Chekhov's gun. The principle: you introduce something in Act 1, it better be fired by Act 2. It was introduced in the first one.
I've never heard of that before.
Oh, well, it's a principle in theater.
Okay.
But it was introduced in the first book, as in, don't go near that thing.
Second book. Second book.
First book, when he was warning him off the third floor corridor and the Forbidden Forest, he mentioned don't go near the Whomping Willow.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
I could have swore the second book that was where it's first mentioned.
No, the second book is just the first thing that was physically in there. I believe.
enough.
I could be wrong.
It could be.
But,
Either way.
but, and it had an awesome intro in the second book.
Let's put it on the safe side and go ahead and say that it was mentioned in the second book.
Yeah.
I'm
It
good
wasn't-
with it.
Anyway,
It had an awesome intro, and it showcased its capabilities as an extremely violent piece of foliage. And it's the angriest topiary. I want to make a topiary of the Whomping Willow, yes. I'll make it an
Devil
octopus.
Snare. What about Devil Snare?
It's not inherently angry like the Whomping Willow is.
You can get pissed off, though.
No,
about the baby
it's
fern?
kind of like... What?
The baby fern?
No.
The little screaming one?
Oh, the
Oh,
Mandrake.
Mandrake.
That wasn't angry, it was just upset.
Anyway,
but
hey, if you get yanked out of bed by your hair, you're gonna be screaming,
I
okay?
didn't say I wouldn't be upset in their position. It was shown at the beginning as a guardian of Hogwarts, which I thought was a cool nod to most Celtic lore, where they use trees to grow up around guardians. Oh, that's scary.
What?
Whomping Willow is sentient.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I knew it reacted like a sentient being, but I didn't think that it was sentient on the level of a human like this is.
Yeah, I would say it is.
Clearly, and it doesn't like birds very much.
No, it kept swiping him out of the damn air.
That was hilarious.
That was a good little.
But it is possibly the
transitions.
angriest.
I like because it was a reference to Shrek after Shrek made fun of everything, and then she sang, and the blue bird exploded in
Yeah.
Shrek, and then the thing flicked the blue bird, and the blue bird went pew, and it
Yeah.
was just like in Shrek, and I was like, ah.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I never caught that.
But
Anyway.
I just love it because it is possibly the angriest character in the entire series. But it's a protector, and then all of a sudden it's not protecting Hogwarts. It's protecting a passageway.
I just realized we kind of glossed over the fact of one more cool creature that was introduced.
Flobberworms,
No.
past-ended scroots.
Crookshanks.
Yeah, There's
something about
No.
Crookshanks.
In Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, there is a creature that looks exactly like a cat that is oftentimes mistaken for a cat, even by wizards, but it's got human-level intellect.
I would say that's probably Crookshanks.
Yeah, sounds
Well,
like
because in the book, Crookshanks was talking to Sirius, and it was happening the whole time. Wasn't that what
it. It was what now?
Wasn't that what was happening?
One more time.
Yeah, run that back.
Yeah, what?
Wasn't there something where Crookshanks and Sirius in dog form were like spending time together?
Yes.
And
Yes,
Crookshanks
yes.
knew what
Harry
was up.
Harry did make a mention of it, that he did notice Crookshanks roaming the ground with
A
A
dog.
big black dog,
a big black dog.
which he
No.
mistook for the Grim.
No, I think that
yeah.
or it was Crookshanks was roaming the ground by the forest and
Yes.
looked like it was roaming with something, but Harry couldn't make it out. And then Sirius later said made mention of the cat.
And because Sirius told Crookshanks that Scabbers was, in fact, Peter.
So I guess they were.
That's why
interesting.
Crookshanks kept going after him.
Yes. Okay.
Because Crookshanks like, dude, that's not okay.
But it's probably along the lines of it, the fact that it's some kind of that creature of human intellect that's mistaken for a cat.
Yes.
First appearance, Chamber of Secrets.
Okay. So I was wrong. Go ahead and gloat. We know that you don't best me
Say
very
it!
often.
Mind
I'm
you,
your
that's
bitch.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, okay.
That's appearance not mentioned.
With the wiki, it'll say like Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone mentioned only, if it was.
Anyway,
But yeah, I just realized like Crookshanks was an assassin for Sirius,
pretty much.
which makes it so much more.
I hated Crookshanks at first because I just don't like cats. But the more it went on, the book went on, the more I liked Crookshanks, and you kind of grew to like the cat.
The movie made him seem like just an obnoxious little asshole that was there all the time.
Noxious little asshole. Yeah. Wait, it had to be something before. It had to be before Sirius told him about. Crookshanks, I think, just realized that Scabbers was wrong, because if you remember in the book when Ron first goes in to get the medicine for Scabbers, Crookshanks falls out of the rafters onto Ron's head and tries to grab after Scabbers.
Yes. I'd like to point out, I'm reading this straight from the wiki. It's first starts off with, it's Crookshanks' page. Starts off with a quote. Ron, what was that? Harry, it was either a very big cat or quite a small tiger. A Kneazle is a magical feline creature related to and similar appearance to a cat. They have spotted, speckled, or flecked fur, large ears, and a lightly plumed tail like a lion.
Huh. Yeah, so I'm just going to say that Crookshanks is a Kneazle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, they have a very high level of intellect, are independent and occasionally aggressive, and have an uncanny ability to detect suspicious or distrustful people. Like Peter Pettigrew.
Yeah, even in Animagus form.
They can also safely guide their owner home. Because of this aggression towards certain individuals, they're fairly dangerous. If they're not interbred with another species.
Yeah.
Like a cat. Crookshanks is half Kneazle.
Half cat. Alright, on.
That's made Crookshanks so much more badass.
Yeah,
right
it
there.
is. Just making me like Crookshanks even more.
Yeah. Now that I know he's a douchebag hunter.
Yes.
Are you a Kneazle? Talking about Cat Fritz.
No, Fritz isn't a Kneazle, okay? Fritz is just an evil bastard, alright?
He finds distrustful people.
I don't...
I keep telling you, he's a descendant of Fritz Haber.
Oh my
And now he's on
it's
my
so
lap and I'm
scary,
afraid.
though. I don't like his eyes.
I swear he's some sort of magical creature.
Okay, back on topic.
He's Egyptian. Oh.
No more interruptions from anyone outside of this, okay? Unless you're in the podcast.
Okay.
Hi, Fritz.
Yeah, Fritz, that includes you.
Definitely Fritz.
But, and something that I have to bring up every time the Whomping Willow's mentioned, I really desperately wanted them to mobilize it during the Battle of Hogwarts. Give it legs.
Did they not?
They didn't.
I could have swore they moved it.
Yeah, there was a thing.
There was a thing, and it was moving.
To the internet.
Thing and it happened. And,
Okay,
yeah.
so just not to stall as much longer.
Right.
I don't even know where I'm going with this. In the book, did they ride the Whomping Willow like they did in the movie?
No, they...
Or are they just getting the shit kicked out of them?
No, they found a... Didn't they find a really long stick and just poke the...
No, it
That
was
was the
Crookshanks.
second time.
It was
Well,
Crookshanks. It was
slid around, went ding.
and hit it. But what you find out later in the time when they go back with the time turner, there was Snape who came out, grabbed the invisibility cloak, and then grabbed a he grabbed a long
Oh, yeah,
stick.
yeah, in the movie he immobilized it.
Yeah, didn't.
Yeah, he used the Immobilist spell.
Okay, well, yeah, in the book he grabs the long stick and pokes it, and that's how he freezes it up. Anyway, you were saying.
One, to be honest, I prefer the Immobilist spell way because I feel like if someone was coming at the Whomping Willow with a stick, that stick would be gone about a third of a second before the person was. But anyway, the Whomping Willow was not mobilized because they had to go under the Whomping Willow to get to the Shrieking Shack where Snape was dying.
Oh, you're right, they did.
I wanted them to mobilize it so badly.
Think of that giant gaping hole it would have left, though. And there's there's a tunnel. Where does it go?
Yeah, but it wouldn't matter because how many Death Eaters would there be?
Yeah, it's true.
A total of 0. Maybe -5. And the giants would try and fail horribly because they're going to try to wrestle it, but it has a lot more arms than a giant
Yeah, it
does. Just giant, and then the Whomping Willow just 2 gut punches, a head punch.
It's
takes out the legs.
It's definitely one of my favorite. Just I wouldn't call it a side character, but cool magical elements.
It's basically a character of its own, which is one thing I love about it.
Yeah.
And I want one.
Hence why it's considered sentient.
Yeah.
Yes, Kellen.
It's completely on topic, actually.
Yes.
Okay.
Concerning that fight, in the wiki it described that all of the arms are physiologically very similar to human arms, and if they're damaged, harm it as such and require the same amount of healing.
Well, yeah, because in the second one when they crashed the car into it,
It was pissed.
It was
it's
pissed,
always
but it
pissed.
mentioned a couple times when Harry would walk by it to class or something. It had slings.
Professor
Yeah.
Sprout was
Yes.
taking care of it.
And they did make it look like it had fists in the
movie.
In the movies.
Yeah, I need to become bros with Neville so he can hook me up with one.
I can't. You cannot
Imagine my driveway aligned with those.
Your driveway's scary enough as it is. Okay, I barely like walking down it in daytime.
Just imagine nighttime in autumn.
No.
And you see the trees moving of their own accord.
No. Okay, trick or treaters would get killed. All right.
They already come to his house.
Yeah, they avoid my house. People cross the street to avoid my house.
But
Probably a good idea if I have Whomping Willows there. I wonder if they would
More
fight each
candy
other.
for you.
Josh,
No, serious question. Like beta fish. I wonder if more than one Whomping Willow in the same proximity would try to attack each other.
that's actually a good.
Well, if they're sentient as humans, they're not going to just go, hey, you're just a walking well. I'm
But
gonna kill
they're
it."
inherently angry all the time and take
That's
swipes
true,
at anything
too.
that comes in within
I
their
guess if you had
proximity.
two
Yeah.
Joshes in one room, that might happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
They'd probably just make love.
Anyway,
I didn't need that mental picture, Kellen.
so speaking of the Whomping Willow and things that it leads to, the Shrieking Shack.
Yay. Hugsy.
Yes, the Shrieking Shag. Shrieking Shack, not Shag.
the shrieking shagging shack. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Hogsmeade and the Hog's Head.
There's a reason why they call it the shrieking shack. Okay.
It's haunted.
Josh and Josh's shrieking shag.
Definitely not my favorite passageway. My favorite passageway would be the Honeydukes. I'm just saying.
For multiple reasons. Actually, that's probably my favorite passage.
Because I would get very fat.
And you also don't have to go underneath the Whomping Willow.
This is true.
I think this would be my favorite one for a couple reasons. We've already covered that I love the Whomping Willow.
Yes.
Leads to the Shrieking Shack where
There's a
Werewolf.
werewolf is, and even if
But
it's not there,
the Shrieking Shack is one of the saddest places in the world.
It's also the most haunted place in London.
Well, no, they thought it was. But, no. So people think it's haunted because screams are coming out. In reality, those screams are a tortured human as its bones shift inside its body, refitting themselves to new sockets. That sounds fucking painful.
So yeah, most haunted place in London.
Yeah. Did that...
No, I had a... I'll
Hi.
save it for later. But I had a thing.
But, anyway. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the addition of the Shrieking Shack.
Uh-huh.
Because, it adds a cultural piece. I mean, there's always going to be haunted houses.
Yes.
But it's kind of, the kids that are daring each other to go up and touch the old man's door.
Gotcha.
It's that in the magical spectrum, so, you could die.
really, it's just an old guy or / werewolf who's misunderstood.
And in a great deal of pain.
Exactly.
Um,
It really is the same thing.
I wonder if that's why werewolves are so angry. It's on topic! But, there's there's Hogsmeade, which I thought that was a beautiful addition. I mean...
I like the idea that Hogwarts wasn't exactly in the middle of nowhere as much as we thought.
and it's also reminiscent of a lot of boarding school traditions.
That's true.
It allows kids to go into town every now and again.
Well, seeing how it's an English boarding school technically.
Right,
yeah.
no, I know. But I liked that it was there.
Yeah, I did too. I like it because it gave you more room, I guess, more expansion to where like they're not always in the castle.
Yeah.
Where they can.
It did the same thing that the Dementors in Azkaban did. It expanded the world.
Yeah.
It also justified the number of people at those Quidditch games because there are not a large enough student population to
That's
fill
also-
those stands.
That's not true, okay? Because we don't know how many people are at Hogwarts.
Think about it. There were 5 boys in the... Okay, I actually did the math on this. 5 boys in the Gryffindor Harry's year dormitory, yes? So assuming there's 5 girls in the same house, that's 70 people.
You're forgetting year.
No, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, you're adding
70
year?
people in the house. Times 4
Okay,
years.
hold up.
That's only 280 people? No.
But that's not necessarily accurate.
No.
It's an approximation.
Because let's see, there were 5 people in Harry's dorm, but there was more than one dorm.
Per year?
Yeah.
There could
Oh,
be, yeah.
I thought there was only
Definitely.
one door per year.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
Which
big-ass castle.
I don't know how like seeing the common room and how like kind of tiny it was.
Yeah.
It's hard to picture more than like a couple rooms in that area. But then again, it's Hogwarts, so there's plenty of things they could do. Yes, Kellen.
Also, during feasts in the movie, is that an accurate representation of how many people are in there? Because
I
it
would-
only looks like there's a few hundred.
I mean,
I would say no because for all we know there could be kids who didn't eat that night or didn't feel like eating that night or
It's a
people who were
magical feast.
or
yeah. This
Hermione who is in the library the entire time
Yeah.
and forgets to eat.
well
That's actually me.
there's always ways. I mean,
Me.
do you know there's stories of kids stealing food from the kitchen, so maybe they didn't go to dinner that night because they had already stolen what they wanted, or I mean, I would say no. I would say because you can't guarantee that every kid's gonna be there because you got to account for kids in the sick bay. Or in the, I don't know, say sick
Hospital
bay.
wing.
Hospital wing, thank you. Kids still in the room who didn't come down to dinner that night. So no,
Fred and George, who are going to be in the dungeon.
I would say that the Hogwarts student population is a lot bigger than what we saw. And that there was no accurate representation of how big it was.
Also,
Still a lot of
I feel like this is an important point to bring up when considering, people who don't want to be there, who don't want to be seen, etc. Magic. Very important aspect of this. Not to mention perspective. This was also the introduction of... This book was also the introduction of Care of Magical Creatures as a class.
Yes, it was.
Well, it wasn't necessarily... It was the introduction, but it was the introduction as...
Because it was the first year that you take it as a student.
Well, that and, what was it? Grubbly Plank couldn't do it because she was injured. And
She was
so,
retiring.
Yes, so Hagrid, of course, took over.
Yes.
And what did you think of Hagrid's Care of Magical Creature classes?
I liked what he would do with it.
I think they were really important to do them the way Hagrid did them.
Yes.
Because things like, okay, no, you don't need to learn about flobberworms. Flobberworms are boring.
Yes.
I mean,
Hagrid took his what he loves and his inspiration, and he put it into that class.
I think Hagrid and I would get along very well.
Hagrid doesn't like the boring stuff, the boring magical creatures.
No.
Hagrid likes dragons and three-headed dogs and
these
hippogriffs.
beautiful but dangerous creatures.
And he shows that, like, just because they're dangerous doesn't mean you can't enjoy the beauty of this animal.
Yeah.
And you can't just...
But I mean, even from a class standpoint,
Yeah.
you don't need to learn about flobberworms. You do need to learn about last-ended screws, because that shit's gonna
Yes.
hurt. Hippogriffs, absolutely you need to learn about them, and it's
Definitely.
important you learn about them in as close to their natural environment as possible.
Yes.
Like the Forbidden Forest. So he takes them into the forest to learn about hippogriffs.
If you don't...
Boom.
If the whole Aragog thing didn't happen in book 2, you think you would have introduced him to Agromantula? I don't think so. I think that would have been too dangerous.
Hagrid would have been dead by then.
What?
Think about it. So he takes care of an acromantula.
Yes.
It grows to full size.
Yes.
It breeds.
Yes.
Because that's what acromantulas do. That's what most things do.
Yes.
All of his children spread out because Hagrid, being Hagrid, gives them pretty much free reign.
Yes.
They're not going to be as disciplined as they were when Aragog had them in the forest. One of them's going to grow to full size
Yeah.
and happen upon Hagrid and eat him.
I don't think so.
I think so. I think it's just logic.
Even if it wasn't the second generation, you'd
It's
eventually
going to
get
happen.
there.
Not to, or actually, what I see.
I still feel like Hagrid being an intelligent enough wizard to have protections put up against.
Hagrid's
something
not
like that.
stupid.
Oh no,
Let's
I
face
never
it.
said he was stupid.
He comes off as kind of an oaf sometimes, but
I'm
Hagrid,
saying,
especially
I'm
when
not
it
saying
comes
it's
to-
going to happen quickly. I'm saying it's an inevitability.
Yeah,
It's going to happen at some point.
a second Josh Hunt.
That, or the more likely scenario, where was Hagrid keeping Aragog?
in the forest.
No,
A box?
he was keeping him with him in the castle.
But Hagrid still visited him.
No. If the acromantula thing didn't happen, he still would have had Aragog.
No. I'm talking about second year Chamber of Secrets. If Harry and Ron didn't go and piss off Aragog. and all
Oh
his
God, no!
family-
He wouldn't have introduced him to acromantulas then.
You don't think so?
No, not at all.
Okay. That's what I was going
Because
for.
remember, Aragog has mentioned that their deal is with Hagrid specifically.
Okay.
That, and it's so deep into the forest that that's dangerous for even someone like Hagrid, whose job it is to patrol the forest.
Yeah.
Hello, friend of Hagrid. We don't have a deal with you. We're gonna eat you now.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So, I mean, it was just.
I would capture that.
throwing it out there. I know
And then
you
die
would,
of
Josh. I know. Oh God, spiders suck.
Okay, Ron.
Do we?
Give me
I've
tap
got
dance.
a question and input.
All right, Kellen has a question and input.
Yeah.
It's on topic. With the acromantula or whatever you're talking about,
Okay.
big spider guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was he more like a king or just like a father type figure? Because what I would think is if he's a king, he probably would patrol about and make sure none of them get to full size.
Not true.
This is Aragog. He's a spider. Spiders aren't known for patrolling.
No.
Spiders wait, which is probably the scariest thing about them.
So with that, would one wanting to compete with him possibly move against him in like a turf war type?
I don't
thing?
think so.
No, it's part of it's that I view it as kind of like a vampire thrall thing. They're his children. It is not even. They are not mentally capable of thinking of moving against him.
Mm-hmm.
But
not to mention, he's several stories tall, and they aren't.
Not yet, at least. But no, I don't think if one got to full size, it would challenge him.
There's no such thing as full size Rackamantulas.
Really? They just
That
keep
is-
growing?
They keep
Really
growing.
fucking terrifying.
Wait,
What the fuck's wrong with her? Raleigh, why would you
So-
write that? Ugh.
Several stories. I thought the guy, the spider, died.
Aragog?
He did.
Oh, the original one?
Aragog died.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
They die of old age. They just don't stop growing until then.
Yes, Hagrid loses control because he mentions it in the 6th or 7th book.
Yeah, one of the last.
Yeah, they don't listen to him anymore because
They don't.
Aragog's gone.
Yeah, and he says something about like the only reason why they hadn't eaten him yet is because it was on Aragog's orders. But now that Aragog's gone,
It's
Yeah.
not even safe for Hagrid, which
Yes.
is a really scary thought, because Hagrid is probably the best beast mage I can think of.
yeah,
he's a beastmaster.
yes.
Oh, hard. I mean, Fluffy, Fang, Noberta, and Aragog. He commanded an acromantula the size of the castle. I'm exaggerating a little.
a little bit, just a little bit.
Was
But-
his size in the movie accurate?
Fairly.
I would say
So
so.
when he was dead, he wasn't stories tall. He was like maybe 10 feet tall.
Are we including legs on this or no?
Yeah.
You
Let's.
kind of have to for a spider. This is all on topic, Jake. I don't understand why you're so upset.
I don't know. It's just I feel like we're just kind
I
of
think Jake
we're
just
beat.
hates me.
No, I don't. It's not that I don't hate you. I feel like
hate me,
I feel
Jake.
okay. We're beating a dead horse here with the whole Aragog talk.
All right, so we have one more combined topic: divination and Sybil Trelawney. Two things that I don't have the patience for any kind of divination. Like I'm imagining I could see Aaron doing well in it.
Just for the sake of reading the book for the first time, I read through those chapters. When I started rereading those books, anytime I came up to a divination chapter that like I know what's going to happen here, I would just pass over it.
Trelawney's gonna act crazy and accuse Harry of trying to die. I would not have. Okay, we've talked about this a couple times before, but I would not, if I were a student and I somehow took a divination class, my patience would be gone like that, because I don't have the patience for divination. I can't. I think about things too much, especially things like in this universe, magical creatures, to clear my mind for something like divination. Not to mention, Trelawney's really annoying.
Yeah,
Well, I think
Annoying.
I agree.
annoying.
I agree, especially the movie just made. I'm like, oh my god, stop! This is painful. But
Annoying.
I like
At
the
least
idea
the
that wasn't. I don't think it was brought up in the third book. I don't think it was brought up until later. No, it was brought up at the end of the third book when Trelawney made an actual prediction.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the difference between the kind of the forced trying to read the tea leaves and blah 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 blah, then the actual.
That was terrifying.
That part scared me in the movie. Like I was legit. That's like I was like, oh god, Tron. It's like Trelawney's kind of scary right now. I know.
Demon speak. But something that was brought up, I think it was just before the podcast. Sybil.
Yes.
Her name is Sybil, which was a type of seer, and she comes from a long line of seers. So someone like talking about the whole forced attempting of prophecies might come from pressure.
I would say yeah. I think we've discussed this before that she's expected to live up the reputation of a divination teacher and a seer.
Yeah, not even a seer. Like a seer is anyone who can.
You definitely
do
see
divination.
but
a
it in
true
the
prophet.
you definitely see in Order of the Phoenix where Umbridge challenges her to it, where she feels the pressure and Sybil's like, I gotta come up with some kind of thing here, and she does. She kind of goes to her normal
You're in grave
premonition
danger.
of you're in grave danger, you're gonna die. Which, in fact, she kind of was.
We all enjoyed it.
Yes.
Wasn't she raped by centaurs?
Probably.
Raped.
That
No.
was the implication.
Taken away. It might have been implied.
I don't think so because of how she was described in the books.
Yeah.
Centaurs have standards.
Yes.
Very true.
Much higher than humans, actually.
Anyway.
Maz is bright tonight. Centaurs were brought up, Jake. It was warranted. But
Every single time.
But Yeah, poor Trelawney. I mean, I feel bad for her. And then there's the Battle of Hogwarts where she just starts throwing crystal balls at people, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I like in a way I do feel bad for her because she kind of gets a bad rep, and the fact that no one really takes her seriously. But then again, like she never really gave someone a reason to take her seriously until she gave that premonition to Harry, and then you're like yeah, she acts crazy, but maybe there is a little bit there's a little bit of truth behind what's going on here.
And then you get further in, and she's the one that predicted it.
Yep, and then you find out she's for real.
That was.
I know.
No kidding.
It
was pretty impressive, actually. Although
now did she recite the prophecy that you find in Order of the Phoenix, or did
No, she made a new prophecy.
she made a new prophecy? That was what it was.
She prophesied that
It'll work. It'll work.
Is a word.
I'm pretty sure it's a word. Yeah.
Alright, she prophesied that Voldemort's return at the end of the following year, that Pettigrew was going to betray them later that night, and then
Okay. Yeah. You're
go
right.
back
not to mention,
bring.
this something
Yeah.
a little else. There was a celebrated seer named Cassandra Trelawney. Very, very famous.
Yes.
Although I find some humor in her name, Cassandra Trelawney. There's a Greek myth about Cassandra the prophet, who she was cursed with the compulsion to tell the future, but nobody would believe her.
I think Trelawney makes mention of Cassandra. Before.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Cassandra the Greek or Cassandra Trelawney?
Trelawney. Cassandra
Yeah,
Trelawney.
she does. She does when she's talking to Umbridge.
Gotcha.
But I don't know, I waffle between feeling sorry for Trelawney and absolutely hating her, but not as bad as I hate Umbridge.
Everyone hates
Nothing
Umbridge.
is as bad as I hate Umbridge.
I hate Umbridge more than I hate Voldemort.
Yeah. Rowling outdid herself a little too well with Umbridge.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
I want to create someone nobody's going to like, and then she became the main villain.
So what else do we have?
That's it.
That's all we gotta talk about? I'm sure there's a ton of more.
Was the third year the year? No, never mind. It wasn't that year.
Fun fact: Trelawney, the actress that played Trelawney was what was his name?
Emma Thompson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ex-wife of, I cannot remember his name. I'm blanking.
Gary Oldman?
No. Who did he play?
Lockhart.
Oh, Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've mentioned that before.
Yeah, because we mentioned it before. I can never remember if I do, but yeah, and his mistress was Helena Bonham Carter.
This whole damn world's connected, even outside of the movies.
That would have been the ultimate awkward, though. Bellatrix is Helena Bonham Carter, Trelawney is his ex-wife, and then Lockhart.
Having them all in one scene.
That's why he wasn't in the fifth movie, though.
Because all three of them would have been in there.
I feel the tension from here.
Jeez.
It didn't even happen, and I feel the tension.
But not only did it not happen, it happened overseas, and you can still feel it.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that we'll be coming back to book 3
Absolutely.
again in a podcast, because there's a lot we covered a lot, but there's a lot we didn't cover, and because just the fact of the popularity of this book, at least for me. There's just so much I could talk about, and I could go on for days talking about it.
I could go on for days about werewolves.
We don't want to go for too long and bore the people.
Yes,
So,
and there was one other thing. Oh yes, one other thing in favor of Trelawney.
Mm-hmm.
She was good enough that the only one that they could think of to replace her was a centaur, who are renowned for divination skills.
Yes, I'm sure they are quite brilliant with their whole Mars is bright tonight.
Well.
Let's point out some more obvious. It's a crescent moon, waning actually. If you look over there, that's Orion's belt.
This isn't a tour of the Milky Way. No, but Mars.
Pluto's no longer a planet.
Think about it. Okay, so Mars.
Divination, not astronomy. There's a difference.
Mars, war.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Mars is bright tonight. The first year was almost all conflict.
Astronomy, astrology.
Every year's all conflict.
Not as bad. Second year was Cloak and Dagger. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
the whole whodunit mystery.
That's true. That's true.
Who is the heir of Slytherin? The third year is more about trauma recovery.
Yes, and it's more expansion and explanation.
Yes. Fourth one is fun and games. Games.
If you want to call it games and fun, go ahead.
And then
I would think it's fun. There's a dragon.
and then finally
You say that now, but then let's have a Hungarian horntail hunting you down, blowing fire at you while you're on a broom.
First of all, I wouldn't have to get on a broom.
You wouldn't fit on a broom. It would
That's
sink.
true. I'll use a mop.
No, you would use a vacuum cleaner like a Hocus Pocus.
Yes. My point being is Harry was good at carrying magical creatures, partially because Hagrid was, Harry was his favorite student. I'd like to think that I'd be a little more committed to carrying magical creatures than Harry ever was, and I'm sure that if I talked to Hagrid about dragons, I could figure out how
I'm going to let you know right now, you would not have the connection with Hagrid that Harry does.
Well,
Hagrid didn't pull you out of a crumbling building that your dead parents laid in and then fly you to Dumbledore and
I'm not
McGonagall.
pretending that did happen. My parents are both alive.
But yeah, I'm just saying though.
And the house is still standing.
I'm just
as
saying
far as
that,
you know.
I'm just saying in that universe.
Still standing.
No.
In that universe,
I got
you would not have the same connection as Harry and Hagrid.
No,
did.
but I'd have a greater knowledge of creatures than Harry would.
Harry, yeah, but it doesn't. It
Harry
didn't stop.
know jack shit about
It didn't
creatures.
stop. It didn't stop Hagrid from pulling strings for him, though.
No.
Yes, Cullen.
Okay, so regarding magical creatures,
Yes.
on topic, and regarding animaguses, on topic.
Animagi?
Can it? I think it's Animagi.
I
But
think it's with
whatever.
Can they become?
I'm just
magical
going off.
creatures?
I'm just going
Yeah,
off what. I'm just
so-
going off what Hermione said. She said animagus, so I'm going to animagi or whatever it is.
Okay, we'll
Well,
stick with that one.
So can people become magical creatures?
Because
As animaga.
magical
Is it
creatures,
ever said?
though they may be magical
It's the
creatures,
Patronus problem.
appear,
I don't know. I just feel like
Yeah, I want to wonder.
I feel like magical creatures would be too complex.
because magical creatures have an aura and an energy around them that you probably can't duplicate, and you can't. At least a human can't.
I
And
think it's
that's
just a
why-
matter of limbs.
I don't think. I mean, I don't think it's a matter of that. I mean, if you go from, I'm sure the more limbs, the harder. I mean, like if you were trying to transform yourself into a spider, it'd be a lot harder than transforming yourself into a dog.
Well, no, but I'm thinking like scale and limbs combined. For example, the biggest creature that anything became was a stag,
Yes.
and that's got 4 limbs.
Yes.
A dragon, much larger, and it has 5. No, sorry, 7.
What the fuck? What kind of dragon?
4
is it?
legs, a tail, and 2 wings.
Oh, I was thinking arms and legs
girl,
and stuff.
you just got served.
But like something like that. That's a lot of appendages,
That is true.
and I think it's a combination of that and cellular complexity, if that makes sense. Magical creatures are going to be inherently more complex
Yeah,
than
definitely.
non-magical ones.
That's why I feel like you can't.
Yeah.
And on top of that,
If we're going to so far to say that magical creatures are cellularly different, then
Well, since
Regular
animals,
creatures-
since animals are cellularly different than other animals,
Yes,
yes.
I know.
when's
Yes,
the last
we
time
are.
you saw a dachshund
I know.
breathe fire?
I'm saying wholly different.
The other
That'd
day.
be so
Then we
fucking
would have
rad.
to say that wizards are too, but I don't think that would be accepted as.
I disagree because
Then again,
wizards,
we don't know where
wizards-
magic comes from.
generally speaking, actually, I think it's safe to say, obviously it's not a confirmed thing, wizards channel magic because they have a tool to do it, the wand.
No, because it's genetic. Because
Then why do we have
Petunia-
squibs? If all it took was the wand,
Squibs.
it
And
was
It's true.
Yeah.
He makes a good point.
Petunia
True.
isn't a wizard, but
I'm thinking more along the
Lily
lines
was.
of, let's see, a lightning rod. Genetically.
okay.
Wizards, for magic.
So they have this
The magic
pow-
focuses on them because
they have a power
this-
inside of them, but with the wand,
they can channel it. Whereas
okay.
animals don't have, magical creatures don't have a power in them.
Mhm.
The power becomes them.
all
That
right.
makes sense.
And that's me going back to the whole. I don't think
After
you
all,
can change
we've-
into a
we've-
magical creature.
We've never heard a whisper of centaurs doing magic.
that's true.
that we know,
Divination.
that we know
Well-
of.
Their divination's a skill. They use astrology.
Yes.
Mars is bright tonight. Boom! Answers.
Uh,
I feel on the ball right now.
Can't do it, Stas.
it's interesting, but I can't do it. Stars, not in the right place. Not tonight.
I'm sorry.
Worst, I can't go on a date excuse ever. It's Mercury retrograde. I'm sorry, guys. Can't do it.
But going back,
Who's that?
going back, I think it's just normal
You'd
animals.
pass up a date?
No.
I think
Depends on who with.
you hit it on the head with the whole complexity thing.
Yeah.
It comes down to the fact that there's too many elements going into a magical creature that you can't duplicate.
It's a similar problem to, we've discussed, Patronus.
Yeah.
We've never seen a magical creature Patronus.
Wait, what about
That's
the
true.
original founders of the school? Wouldn't you assume that the creatures that they put
Gryffindor
on
uses-
the flags would be
Gryffindor
their
u-
Patronuses? Because
Gryffindor
they-
uses a lion, Slytherin uses a snake, Ravenclaw uses an eagle, and Hufflepuff uses a badger. Those aren't magical.
Non-magical
But
creatures.
you would think that they would have some sort of inherent property, I guess. I don't
No.
know.
No.
The point of it was that they're just very skilled wizards
Yeah.
and witches. Rowling has mentioned that Godric Gryffindor was an animagus,
Yeah.
and he became the giant squid.
What?
In the lake?
Twat?
So-
Twat are you talking about?
Oh, God. No, she's mentioned that Godric Gryffindor became the giant squid in the lake.
I didn't know that.
Why? What of all animals you could change into? Why limit yourself
This
to
way-
something in water?
This way, he can always keep watch of the school from a distance. He can protect people. Remember, it lifted Neville back out of the water,
But I don't think
and
I don't
he
think
can patrol the grounds at night.
I don't think it can happen because just because you can turn into animagus
She
doesn't
also said it was a joke.
Okay. I was gonna say turn.
Get your fucking panties in a knot.
Not the face.
You hit me!
I know.
In the face!
That I meant to. I was just gonna say though, just because you can turn into animagus doesn't extend your life form.
No, what I would think is that he found another way to do that.
Wait, if you were an animagus or something that had a longer lifespan, would it?
Shit.
Because
No.
I know
Aaron,
that,
asking the
wait,
big questions.
Because I know that Scabbers would.
Wait,
that
yes.
Peter didn't live any longer because all of a sudden now this rat had this extraordinarily long lifespan. But if you turn in something like a sea turtle that lives forever and ever,
I don't think so.
it's the
I think
fact-
you're
because
looking
you
too
are
deep into it.
You are not the animal. That's the thing to remember. You are still a human. You're just using an animal's body.
Yeah.
But
So, I mean, Scabbers was only as the rat. Scabbers only lived long enough because technically it was just a rat, but it had a human's lifespan.
Because he was
He was
is a
human. He was human. He
Yeah.
could just transform himself into something else.
He's using the form of a rat.
Yeah.
Also, magic.
So it's less. Yes. So it's less straight up becoming an animal and more changing form.
All right.
So if
And-
you're just changing it to the form of an animal, then what's stopping you from changing it to the form of a magical creature if you're not taking on its magical properties? You're just changing
because I think
Limbs
I'm gonna go scale and limbs on this one, but I'm gonna say that
and scale probably.
I'm
yes.
gonna, but I'm also gonna go along the lines that if you wanted to, if you wanted to change into a magical creature, you're gonna have to adopt its abilities too.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're trying to change into a dragon, you're gonna have to somehow
Adopt
able
its ability to breathe fire.
to breathe fire. Exactly, and so that's why I
What were you
think.
gonna bring up? Because I just thought of a hole in my own argument for the animators.
Yeah, well,
That's not
hey,
bad.
I was gonna bring up that you said squid and limbs.
Yeah,
That's
that was
true.
also a joke.
Yeah, I get that, but still.
No, the argument, the hole in my argument was Rita Skeeter. She becomes a beetle.
So
6 limbs.
okay, but think of the scale.
Also true. All right.
I mean, maybe
Still holds.
maybe the smaller you are, the more you can like.
so you can only be a trident dragon. Is what he's telling you.
Can I be an
That'd be
Algerian?
I'm doing this. I'm finding a way to do this.
No, we've already made it canon. You can't change into a magical creature. We're not poking holes in our own logic here.
Fanfic.
Anyway,
Fanfic.
I'm gonna ask a question that everybody can answer around the room. If you were changing to animagus, what would you change into? Real animals, not magical, Josh.
I'm not.
Okay.
Jake, you going first?
No, I'm going. I don't want to go first.
Let's go with Aaron.
I'm
Ladies first.
debating if I'd want some sort of power of flight, or if I would
Tiny dragon.
not go to the tiny dragon, or because I mean,
You never asked to be a dragon. I never asked.
Anyway,
but Josh is asking to be a dragon.
I am asking to be a dragon.
But I almost like Rita Skeeter's being a beetle, being something small and kind of innocuous.
But think about
But at the
this.
same time, everyone wants to squish you.
Yeah.
Well, but maybe
Just
being
like Rita Skeeter.
Maybe being something that's not.
She wasn't a beetle. She was a ladybug.
Yeah, like being a ladybug, being
Ladybugs are beetles.
a butterfly.
Yeah, they are, but
But think of it as this. How often do you want to squish a ladybug? Whenever I see
You're gonna
one,
ask me that question? I nearly ran into Aaron's car 2 days ago.
I'm just saying though,
Intentionally.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
the majority of the people don't. When they
Yeah.
see a ladybug, they don't
So,
want to squish it.
I mean, like a butterfly or a dragonfly, something innocuous that I don't know. I'm kind of sneaky.
I know. I get what you're trying to say.
I'm good at the fly on the wall thing.
Yeah.
So.
On the wiki, it says she's a straight up beetle.
Oh,
I
she
think
was?
She was a beetle.
It made it look like she was a butterfly in the illustration on the chapter page.
Butterfly?
Is she
no,
a butterfly,
but-
ladybug,
Yeah.
beetle, make it
It was-
mine.
You're like,
It
shut
was-
up!
It was a very.
I seem to recall it in the books being described as a green beetle, like a
Yeah,
jewel.
that's what I thought it was
Okay.
too.
So you would be some sort of bug.
Something small. Like,
bat?
Maybe.
You could be a hummingbird.
I would be a hummingbird because you get flight and you're innocuous.
She pissed her
And you
pants
can
again
drink
when she's
nectar.
She's like, oh my god, hummingbird. You should have seen her face. Her eyes got huge.
Well, if I was an
Think it's a
animagus,
hummingbird.
I might go with bat because then all the vampire jokes. But also because bats are inherently helpful and awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I also might just forsake animagus and go werewolf.
You would just, you
Well,
would.
could you be an animagus of a wolf and you would be like a werewolf except for you have control over it?
No, there was a reason that Lupin couldn't be an animagus because he was a werewolf.
Because it was the werewolf gene in
Yeah.
him that was preventing him.
No, but
What
instead
she's
of-
asking is, would you rather just change yourself into a wolf so you can change into a wolf whenever?
Instead of being a werewolf and
It's the
being-
same thing, just less dangerous.
No.
But it
You're
does
forgetting the
have,
musculature. The werewolf. You saw the third movie.
Yes.
Lupin is a man-wolf. He is a true werewolf.
He's the wolf man, yes.
Yeah. Transforming into a wolf, a lot less badass.
I don't know. Wolves are pretty fucking badass.
Yeah, not more badass than a werewolf. But anyway,
People are more likely to be friendly with a wolf than a werewolf. You transform yourself into a werewolf, people are gonna hunt your ass down, alright? And look at you. You'll be the world's chubbiest werewolf.
that just means I go to villages and wait
You're
until I
gonna be a pot.
transform.
You're gonna be a pot belly werewolf, right?
That'd be so rad.
So
So effing cool.
I'm thinking
I just found the
I might go with some kind of dog.
Yeah.
So you'd be serious. Are you serious? You'd be
Sure.
serious?
I would seriously be serious.
Sorry.
Oh my
That
god.
was horrible.
Sorry, not sorry. I'm seriously serious.
Alright, moving on. Kellen, what would you want to be?
King Cobra.
Alright.
King Cobra, no doubt.
Okay, I'm gonna change mine to mongoose just right now, just to piss Kellen off. I will hunt your ass down. I will hunt your ass down.
James?
Bear, because I pretty much already am one, so it works.
Your fuzziness does kind of. Now,
If he's gonna be
I'm either
that
described
werewolf,
as
no,
bear
this
or
is
werewolf.
legitimate. This is gonna be a legitimate question regarding James because of his condition. If you don't know already, James is our amazing gimp, and
He's got CP.
he's got CP. Now, here's the question though: if he changed into Animagus,
Would he have a limp?
Would it affect his ability to walk in animal
Yes.
form? Do you?
Because Peter Pettigrew is missing a finger, as was Scabbers.
That's true, and he never grew. And when he transformed into Scabbers, he never grew. But that's something that's physical.
That's external.
That's
Yeah.
external. This
Since
is
this is
tech-
internal. Well, since hold up.
Because you're
No, because it changes your musculature.
yeah.
Ah,
and
It
it
changes-
changes your mass. Peter
yeah.
Pettigrew weighed as much as a rat.
that's true.
But that has nothing to do with his legs.
No.
No, it
But if it
changes the
changes,
musculature and
it
the
cha-
nervous system.
yeah, it changes your
structure, so-
musculature and your nervous system, so you can respond with all four limbs like a dog can.
So
So it would, at least for as long as you were in animal form, remove the limb because that's not so. It improves upon what's already there.
Right.
Since Pettigrew didn't have anything there, it couldn't do anything.
and you
Okay.
physically can't grow a finger back. It's not gonna physically go back when he grows into one.
Yeah,
So I
whereas
guess-
this would be a repair job.
So, since we're just going to go ahead and speculate that yes, he wouldn't have a limp.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. I
Alright.
thought that was.
That'll make James the smartest bear in the world.
I thought that would make-
Way smarter than the average bear. I'm gonna call you Yogi.
Do I get a picnic basket?
For me, I have a couple. I would want to change it to like a hawk or an eagle because just two badass birds plus the ability to fly. I like the idea of a wolf, or not a wolf, a husky, because huskies are my all-time favorite dog.
Yeah.
And then I would say something along the lines of a bear or maybe like an elk. Because I'm a big dude and I would like badass as an elk.
Well,
How far do you think you could hit a baseball if you were a gorilla?
Yeah, but then you'd have a tiny penis.
How conspicuous would that be? It's like, why is there a gorilla on the ground?
Reggie Jackson.
McGonagall's walking around. Gorilla's native to this land? What the hell is this?
well, since a lot of animagus use their abilities to transfer, even in like the old lore, to usually as transportation or as stealth.
Yeah.
In all seriousness,
What good would a gorilla do for me?
Fucking lay down the damage.
I could in King Kong with at Hogwarts. Just climb the astronomy tower.
But no, in all seriousness, I'd probably either go if I were to go airborne,
Yeah.
either bat or owl because they're ridiculously powerful for birds,
Yeah.
or like a
And they
condor
fly
of some kind
Not to mention how
Yeah.
respected
Owls are
and
completely
useful
silent.
in magic.
in magic and in the Harry Potter world. Like, but here's the thing though, you might get caught by someone and be like,
No, because my cover ID would be I'd be your owl.
"Oh."
Dude, and if we needed to send a message, it would be the least conspicuous thing ever. I could just be an owl and fly somewhere.
Would you be able to fly though? You be the world's chubbiest owl, or would you fly like Errol?
Dude, first of all, Errol was old. I'm not that old yet. I'm not Methuselah.
Yet.
Yeah, and here's hoping I get that far.
I just picture you turning into an owl, flapping your wings, and she's like, "All right, Josh, let's go, fly, get off my arm." Come on, Josh. And he's just like, I can't do it.
Well, I think, okay.
Wait, are there anti-magic fields in Harry Potter?
Yes,
Yes.
Hogwarts is one
So
for
what if
apparition.
what if you were in a cage and you accidentally turned back into a human?
You probably break the cage.
Yeah, but not after you took some serious cranial damage.
Oh, yeah, no.
Well, how much more damage
Ow.
could Josh take?
How many, have you taken many blows to that? Hundreds.
Why do you ask?
But no, seriously, I think since it does scale down, obviously, because Pettigrew in the movie was a pretty big motherfucker.
Yeah, he was a chubby dude.
And but he became a slightly larger rat.
Mm-hmm.
I'd still be able to fly, I'm pretty sure. I mean, obviously, we'd have to test this out. But I also think that it would change my musculature so I could be able to handle my own weight. So
I'm just giving you shit, you know it.
If landbound, I might go like I don't know.
You want to go something native?
I've been compared to a bear many times.
I don't know how many bears there are in.
Can I be half king cobra, half gorilla?
No.
I just have this gorilla body with a king cobra's head coming.
Really? Because I pictured a king cobra with a gorilla head.
That'd be fine with me.
So
But anyway,
Like a hairy
The forests
snake.
around Hogwarts, though, are similar to the forest here, like in Alaska.
Yeah.
So you could.
yeah, so bear would fit. Bear.
But no, it doesn't matter if a bear would fit in the forest. I'm asking if bears are native to that area.
Yeah.
In England?
Yeah.
Hogwarts is
No.
closer to Scotland.
It's are bears.
Actually,
Wild boar.
Well, there you go. Go with something like that.
Wild boar.
hello.
How about Fritz?
Actually, that'd be pretty cool. But so I think
already
we've dragged this out long enough.
We're closing in on almost 2 hours. We got 15 minutes left till we hit 2 hours.
But what would our Patronuses be?
But
But I don't want to. But I can't pick. I don't feel like you could pick your own Patronus.
No, you
I feel
can't.
Like
If you could pick your own control.
Or how about this? A person across from you dictates what they think your Patronus would be.
Or we could just kind of. What would Josh's Patronus be?
All right, so as a group,
Chewbacca?
I was thinking.
Only because you're wearing the shirt. I don't know.
Ham.
No, because you gotta think of Josh as a character, Josh as a person, and like his character and his personality. Because let's face it, Patronus is gonna take a form of something that can relate to that.
right?
I don't know really. I don't know Josh. This is why I don't think we should choose for each other because it's hard.
Well, Josh is a playful actor. He's sociable. He's a smart guy in the animal world,
and he's very angry.
He's
Yeah,
a
in the animal-
chimpanzee.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Actually,
Monkey.
Might I throw out another suggestion as well?
Yes.
Bonobo? Proboscis.
I was thinking some kind
You
of
guys all
dog.
forgot about proboscis monkeys, right?
I was
Big nose, Squidward.
I was thinking of some kind of dog because playful, a little
Loyal.
bit angry, loyal to a fault.
Okay.
like
Okay, we're gonna save the time right now, and we're just gonna go round table real
Okay,
quick and say
okay.
what you would want your Patronus to be. So,
Okay.
Josh.
Bear
Okay.
or sloth. That's a joke from a previous one.
The world's slowest Patronus. Just like, I'm gonna get you, Dementors.
No, that was the one that was like, slow but
Eventually.
ridiculously powerful. Just boom. Kellen.
Ooh, I'd have to say
Proboscis monkey.
maybe.
Fritz.
I'm thinking a computer.
Asshole.
Okay,
Slug.
off to Jamie.
Alright, yeah.
Bear.
Bear.
Leia.
Hold me down. I don't know. I would say I want mine to be a dog, but I already said my animagus I'd want to be a wolf.
There's no reason that it wouldn't be the same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, I would think after you discovered your Patronus, you might want to become that form.
That's true. So yeah, I'll go ahead and say like either like a husky, or if I were to change my animagus to an eagle, or like a bird, then like an eagle or something.
You sure not a spider? Or Fritz? Just a thought. Just a thought.
I think I'm like the animagus, keeping it small, something small, dainty like a butterfly.
Not an otter like Hermione.
Dragonfly. I thought about
I could
that.
see it was a fox.
I could see a fox or like a seal.
I think fox more.
Fox would work better.
Or otter.
Headcanon accepted.
Quicker, and foxes have a reputation for being cunning. After all.
They cute like a fox too, so it's all good.
Dinosaurs were animals.
And El Zorro.
Josh,
Zorro means fox.
Josh, we gotta sign off before you walk off.
Okay.
All right, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm gonna say that's it for now.
I believe it's time for
Yep.
class.
It's definitely time for class. I've been late 3 times to Transfiguration, and
Oddly enough, we've had 3 Pottercasts.
I don't feel. I know every time, every
Hey,
time.
well, we just have to explain that to McGonagall that podcasts are important and that it's about her class. So she might go easy.
Yeah, I doubt it. But anyway, before I have to go do 60 more lines, let's go ahead and sign off, Josh.
Peace out.
Bye.